And here we have a little job to do on a cyclemaster tank. You can see here just at my fingertip there's some holes that have rotted through, but you can also see the solder. So for this little tank the repairs have to be solder joints or solder patches, as the heat required to braze it would probably melt all the original patches and repairs, which could be a pit of snakes. So as you can see from the video, the first job is to clean it and tin it. I've cleaned it with the Dremel. Here I'm putting on some flux, just warm the tank enough for it to melt, and now I'm tapping down the actual thin area so that the patch will sit in a small sort of little dip. Again, back to the cleaning. These little tanks with the premix oil, the biggest problem you got with them is the dirt, the oil contamination. It can actually soak into the metal and it's very, very hard to clean. So the golden rule here is to get that little area as clean as possible. This can take several goes. You can see me here with a little stainless steel brush, a bit like a stainless steel toothbrush, rubbing back the surface and prodding the solder on to see if it will take. As I say, it can be quite difficult and take several attempts, but once you get that initial blob of solder to run, you can then use this stainless steel brush to wipe it and scrape through the contamination to adhere to the surface, leaving the surface tinned, ready for the next stage. Tinning is giving it a coating of the lead solder. Here you can see me doing exactly the same to the patch, putting on a thin layer of solder and wiping it across so that it's well adhered to the surface of the patch. The idea being that later you can turn the patch over, rest one surface of tinned solder onto the other surface, heat the two together and they will bond. There we are, placing the patch in place, and now I shall warm the two up and sweat the two together. As you can see, it doesn't take much to make them to bond. The addition of the extra solder then is to literally just let it flow around the edges so that the patch is almost submerged in the solder. Further inspection showed a little pinhole right at the very top. This didn't really need a patch, it was so small, but it had to be sorted. So again, I tapped a little hollow with the hammer and cleaned it up as best I could. And here you can actually see me using electrical solder. Again, not a good idea to do the whole patch with that sort of low temperature solder, but for tinning, it being flux cord, it can make a difference. So again, with the wire brush, get the surface tinned and then finish with the plumber's solder, which is a bit stronger and a bit heavier. There we are. That just leaves one last job. I use the belt and braces approach. I mix up a bit of epoxy glue, in this case araldite, just to smear over the whole lot. It's, as I say, belt and braces just in case. The tank is nice and warm from the soldering, so the glue sort of flows easily, soaks into the pores around the joint, just in case there's that tiniest of pinholes that you've missed. There's nothing worse than seeing a stain appear a few months after you've put all the effort into spraying and polishing. So just in case, you know, on both, of course. And there you have it, nice little patch soldered into place, and then the smear of araldite over the top just leaves cleaning the tank down, ready for painting and fit into the bike for another 30 or 40 years. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.